Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear.
All right, welcome everyone to episode 128 of the Massenomics podcast. I'm here, Tanner. To my left is Tommy, and to my right is Ryan. How's it going, guys?
Very good.
Great.
I thought when you said to the left, say what's up, and then my first thought would be your left or camera left.
Stage,
so I was getting pretty worried there.
That's port and starboard.
Oh,
I think.
is that that's the industry term?
Yeah, that's the
podcast.
industry podcast. Correct.
Okay.
Correct term.
I haven't read the industry handbook yet, so I'm a little outside the loop, but.
It was opening football weekend, NFL weekend, right? So we're going to take this episode to mostly talk about
the preseason, I think, is the most important part of the season. But.
So, Tanner, I feel we almost never talk about football ever.
Yeah.
And I think you're a Buccaneers fan, right?
I do like the Buccaneers.
He most certainly is.
I mean, there's probably close to 10 of you in South Dakota, maybe?
Yeah, my next door neighbor is a big Buccaneers fan. He flies the flag and everything.
So the two in this entire part of the state are living within a block.
Yeah, and
door.
why I am, they were good when I was young and getting into football, so that's probably the reason why,
Yeah. I mean, everyone likes a good team.
You're right.
If you're going to pick a team, you pick a good one, I guess.
But I, vis-a-vis, my family all liking the Vikings, I kind of just,
You have to be the hipster too cool picking another team.
No, I kind of cheer for the Vikings, too,
okay,
just because it's I'm not going to be like the guy.
I thought you were going to say it's one of those things like my family likes the Vikings, so I had to pick someone else.
No.
Okay. So, the Buccaneers won today. The Vikings won today.
Yeah, I did see that. I followed it close enough to know that the Buccaneers won today.
Yeah.
Who did they play?
They played somebody.
But they won.
They definitely played a team.
That shows. Well, like what I was talking to you guys beforehand, I have played fantasy football every year for the past 12 years.
I've never played fantasy football.
That's become
I'm more of a fan. Fantasy NASCAR is kind of my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like any other sport would be so exhausting, especially baseball. It's who has time to follow that many games?
You would have to be
a huge loser.
They did beat the Saints.
Okay.
Big conference win.
Yeah.
48-40.
High scoring win.
Jameis Winston must have been slinging it.
No, he's suspended for 3 games.
So that's
he was doing zero slinging, to be exact.
Why?
Extracurricular activities.
He got into a little trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, may or may not have involved a woman.
He's kind of living up to his past at this point in time.
A little bit,
as far as that goes.
Yeah. But that's probably a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that.
All right, and that's sports talk this week.
That is more than enough, I think.
So, are we ready to get to the meat of the matter here?
To the real nuts and bolts.
Maybe to the red meat of the matter here.
Ooh. Let's get to brass tacks.
Pun intended. Yeah, what we're gonna do is kind of give our the official Massenomics review of the vertical diet. I think the vertical diet is out there, and unless you've been under a rock for the last 2 years, you kind of know what it is at least.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say if you pay attention to any kind of lifting, it's probably pretty hard.
And if you follow Stan Efferding on anything, there's no way you could not be familiar with that term at this point.
Yeah. And this isn't just our review of what we've heard Stan say on YouTube and what everyone else, Brian Shaw, Halfthor, and what they all say. We actually read the vertical diet now, so we have a little bit of
the real insider knowledge, the tips to just make you insanely great. Maybe?
Yeah. So,
can we go very quick review, very quick high level?
Yeah.
The book, it's a PDF download.
Yeah.
I haven't done a lot of ebooks in my day.
I don't really like ebooks. Really, I kind of like.
I want something that's a little substance to it. What about audiobooks?
I don't mind. Ebooks could be good, but I guess what I'm saying is I really like holding.
You
a
like
book
you
and
like
reading
feeling
it.
like
Yeah.
you own something,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Do you do audiobooks ever? Either of you guys?
I've never have before.
I never have. I guess well, that's not true. I guess on Spotify I've listened to some things, but that's
Yeah. Well, they do not have an audiobook version of the Vertical Diet, so we will have to go with the regular PDF review. But super quick, it is 50 pages. Not, I wouldn't necessarily say 50 pages of like page-to-page reading.
No.
You could,
50 pages
you could.
total.
I mean, just Tanner, you definitely read this thing more in depth than me because I did not read it very in depth at all. Actually, I read it while I was watching There's Something About Mary on TV, which also a pretty funny movie. I've never actually seen it. It's in its entirety.
I think I've only
still
seen it on
didn't
TV.
see it in its entirety,
Yeah.
but I did catch the last half.
So you'd
and
never watched the whole thing before?
I'd never watched the whole thing before, and I think the last time I tried watching it was like years ago when I was much younger, and it wasn't quite as funny to me. But yeah, now I did.
Was
enjoy it,
her hair gel
I
scene
did.
still
That
funny?
Yeah,
that
it
makes
was.
sense.
Yeah.
Still
now,
don't get it.
Now you're like,
yeah,
now that I'm almost 30, I finally got that
yeah,
joke.
it's hair gel. We get it. Like it holds your hair up.
2 years ago, didn't get it. 4 years ago, didn't get it. But now that I'm almost 30,
Yeah.
I'm married now, so I
Mary,
understand stuff.
something about Mary,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense.
Something about married.
But this book, 50 pages.
it could probably be 25 pages. Like
probably,
there's
yeah.
a lot
Some
of
of the
paragraphs
pages-
are one sentence.
Oh yeah, and some of the
or-
pages are just, a bulleted list.
How
So-
much is it?
So we'll get to that part in a
Okay.
second
All
here.
right.
But yeah, so
and
some of the
that's-
pages.
that is part of the
a big
review.
factor.
That's
It
part
is,
of what
yeah.
we're reviewing.
Yeah.
Also.
Yep. But there is a lot of information in it. I don't know. Should we just kind of hop into it here?
I suppose.
So
What is it?
at the highest level, the vertical diet. How would you describe it, Tanner?
You could talk about the diet itself or the book. What the book does is it there's the horizontal part of his diet, which is the micronutrients. So it's these foods that basically everyone would be eating, regardless of if you're trying to lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight.
And what are those? What are some of those?
We have
Is that everything on the
yeah,
bottom?
We have
yeah,
this nice
we have
little
a good picture
infographic
there.
there.
So oranges are orange juice, carrots, Greek yogurt, cranberry
Is that
juice.
butter?
Does it
Does it
like
have to be grass-fed?
Natural grass-fed butter
Yeah.
is one of his.
Okay. Must be that.
Salt. The vegetables he recommends are cooked spinach or peppers, one potato or sweet potato, eggs, and chicken stock. Chicken
beef
broth.
tallow.
Yeah.
Is tallow
But-
the same thing as stock?
It's like fat, isn't it?
Yeah, tallow is different, but
Okay.
chicken broth and bone stock are very similar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
that tallow is what he cooks like the spinach in.
Like I've watched a decent amount of Food Network and stuff in my day. Unless I've just been completely blind to that part, I don't know if I've ever heard the word tallow until Stan
I think it's just beef, like fat. Tow's another word for fat, I believe.
Okay.
I feel like
But
that's just a word that he picked up on and ran with. Like
This will confuse people.
he's
This
like,
sounds better.
I'm gonna hang to this word, you know.
So like, there's the bottom far right one. What is that?
Salt.
What's the next? What's to the left of that?
That might be salt also. I don't know. Yeah.
That's real
oh, that's
salt.
heroin.
I think it's salt, and then is that like pink salt or something?
Oh,
like
sure.
Himalayan
yeah,
rock
pink
salt or something,
Himalayan
yeah.
salt.
Okay.
So that's basically no matter what you're doing, that's how you're building your base. You can't build a 4-bedroom house on a 2-bedroom house foundation.
I
That-
love the
That
analogy.
is
I understand it now.
that is in the that is in the
Is
book.
that what it says?
Yeah. Which actually
Yeah.
that is pretty relatable, I think, for
Yeah.
people. It's
Okay.
anything you can tie back to a house analogy is always about as relatable as it gets.
Or
to.
like riding a bike.
Yeah.
a bike or a car.
It's like riding a car.
Yep.
So those things are going to be in there for basically anyone, depending on your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then the vertical portion of the diet, then this is what we would think about when we think about what Half Thor does and what Brian Shaw does and how they utilize it. It's carbohydrate source,
Which is
white rice,
That's it.
not brown rice, white rice.
That's it.
Yes, and then in addition to those, the horizontal
Right, 'cause I
base
guess
'cause
carbs are from,
you,
you know,
you get
oranges
like
and
one
the juices
potato,
and-
yeah.
right,
So
right.
there's carbs in there, but vertically it's
This is
it's
kind of where
white
you start
rice.
to build things up.
Sure.
And,
Yeah, and then meat on the meat side of it, it's either steak. It's red meat, so I'd say choice number 1 is steak. Maybe choice 1A is bison, and then beyond that, it's lean ground beef. I think is your kind of economical choice.
At least do this.
Yeah, right. And it's really a good, better, best scenario is
Yep,
what Stan
right.
would like to say in every podcast that he's ever done. It's a good, better, best scenario. I've heard him use that phrase every single time. But there's a financial trade-off on all those choices. I mean, it's more
Right.
expensive to eat top sirloin than it is to eat
And
ground beef.
it would be, unless you really are a top level world competitor, it's probably not worth your time or effort to be dumping that type of money into it. Because we talked about a few weeks ago, Hafthor said he had on his Instagram story when people were asking him questions how much he spends a month on food, and what did we say? Was it $6,000?
I can't remember now.
It was something,
yeah.
some insane thousands of dollars. And
I
I don't
mean,
think
that
he's.
doesn't. I don't know that makes sense to me for him.
Well, that's what my whole
But
point is.
him-
Yeah,
For him, it
But
makes sense.
That's like
yeah,
nothing.
he's
for him
literally
for
eating
spending.
steak for almost every
Well,
meal.
it's also an investment in his career.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. But so that's where I mean, you can definitely push this to an extreme and have steak for almost every meal like he
Yeah.
does. Probably not necessary for almost everyone else.
Right.
So okay, now that this reminded me of something. So I know on Stan's Instagram, he'll have a little ad or whatever for like a vertical diet, like meal sampler thing. And it's
Those-
like eight meals.
yeah.
It's like Monster Mash thing, like salmon.
That's
whatever.
just he's just coming out with that, his like ready to eat meal.
right. And then I noticed this maybe yesterday or the day before on Thor's post. He has something really similar to that. The meals are all the same except
It's like mountain meals.
Mountain,
Yeah.
Mountain
And
Man. Or,
Shaw has his own too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
and
Which-
they're partnered with Stan.
I was going to say
Right.
they
Yeah.
have to be almost like
'cause
licensed
yeah.
through
the
him.
meals
Yeah.
and all the layout was exactly the same. It was just called something different.
I heard. Yeah, Shaw was talking about it with Stan.
I think it's kind of like an advanced affiliate program they have.
right.
where-
It is, and like Shaw's meals in that meal plan are like I can't remember if it was like 8,000 calories or it's a huge meal. It and it's the special Shaw
right.
meal, but they're
The Shaw blend.
Yeah, they're together. It's not
They're
they're
doing
not
their own
competing
thing.
against
Right.
each other
That's
on
what
it.
I
yeah.
cited. The layout was exactly the same. The foods were exactly the same. I was like, okay, this has to be majorly affiliated with Stan.
Yeah.
So,
Part of it.
and I guess we'll kind of get in a little more in depth on the book now, but the thing to talk about too is this ebook is $100. It's not like just it's not like you're going down to the local bookstore and buying a book for $10 or whatever. Like it is a bit of an investment.
That's like a textbook.
It
Well,
kind of
that's
is
right.
almost.
Well, what other book do you buy that's $100?
School books. That's
I mean,
the only time
yeah.
I've ever spent.
Because what's the average price of a book?
I
I
would
would
say
say like
$20
$8 to $30.
Yeah.
For
you
like
know?
a
Yeah,
new-
like if
new book.
you go on Amazon, you're buying a book. Like if I'm gonna buy, I mean, I don't really buy books, but if I'm gonna be spending over $25 on a book, I'm expecting something that's really like
Either a lot
hardcover,
of
substantial,
photos,
nice,
really
like.
nice- yeah.
But this one is a bit of a tool, and it is trying to teach you something.
Much like Ryan.
Much like Ryan
Bit of a
here.
tool. And I'm trying to teach you something.
And if you get something out of this, and it helps your performance, it just helps your lifestyle in general. $100 is probably a pretty minimal investment in the scheme of things.
What I don't know how to say this, but so it's $100 and you get the PDF download. So maybe like it's an investment that you and some of your friends can make together.
Just like any book in the world, you can buy it
Yes.
and let your friends borrow your book.
yes.
That's right.
I'm not saying pirate this thing, but be responsible, I guess.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it is $100. We don't want to just read every freaking thing out of this and be like, here's the audio version of the vertical diet. So,
Right.
I mean, we're not going to go into super in detail, but we will pick out some parts that are interesting or noteworthy and I mean, kind of share it with you guys. And also, reading this thing, there was very little in here that he hasn't talked about in a Rhino's rant.
No, I think he's
or
probably talked about
on
every one of
Yeah,
those things.
so I mean, you
somewhere
could
before.
also go through. Stan has hours and hours of audio online. If you took the time to sit down, go to all these different sources, listen to hours of the audio, you'd probably get the same information. But it is a bit of a time saver to have it all here and in writing. So
Yeah.
that is another thing to think about with this.
I do think a pro of the book, and we can go through some of the sections, but so it talks about the foods, of course, and it breaks down each of the most important foods. But it also he spends some time talking about sleep hygiene. Obviously how important sleep is. I think everyone kind of knows that, anyways.
Yep.
But some tips to how to do a better job of maintaining good sleep hygiene. And then he talks about meal preparation, not just the foods, but some tips of how to make it more worth your time. And same way, you could see all this in a video. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
he's
he
talked
has-
about it
he
all
has-
before.
Stan and sleep go like hand in
Yeah.
hand. Like that's one of his biggest things he ever talks about. So
Right.
like
But it
getting
is
to
nice
that part,
it all being in one
it does, and it
place,
makes
yeah.
total sense for it all to be here, and it is a time saving thing. You know,
And
you
he
could.
a lot of the book, there's probably 50 links in the book. So if he's talking about something like the importance of sodium in your diet,
So that is one thing that I thought was interesting about the book, and I haven't. I have
haven't
almost
clicked
no
on all
experience
the
like
links and-
ebooks and things like that, but there was a lot of links to YouTube stuff on here, which was surprising to me because
yeah,
I don't always think of YouTube as being the most scientific place, but I guess if you are a scientist and you're publishing stuff on YouTube, I mean, it is still scientific, but
Yeah.
I was surprised at the number of YouTube links on here. So again, it is just access to free information that is already there. He just kind of did the work of compiling it all together for you.
yep,
Right away, he said, you know, in the first page, the vertical diet includes, and I think this is kind of a nice thing to hear what he all considers part of the
Yeah.
vertical diet. And that list consists of sleep, hydration, proteins, fats, carbs, minerals, electrolytes, calculating calories, hormones, blood tests, gut health, specific foods, sample meal plans, interval training, cardio, 10-minute walks, supplements, hypertrophy training, and strength training. And that kind of is a pretty holistic approach to what it does take to get strong. I mean, you kind of do have to be paying attention to all these things, and
Yeah.
if there is any one of them you're
Little
leaving out,
pieces, yeah.
like Tanner, if you're ignoring your hormone levels, you're gonna
Or
be
like if you just forgot to sleep for like 3 weeks, I could see where that could be a problem. So
it could be.
It could.
could
Well,
be.
that's true. It could be.
Everyone's
right?
different though.
yep.
And so with that, sleep is the first thing he talks about. And I don't know if there's really even anything to add
No.
in other than you should be doing everything you can to try and get like 7 to 8 hours of sleep at least.
Yeah, as we go through a couple of the main topics, maybe we'll try and think of anything that really cool or important or significant takeaways that we found. And I don't know if on that,
And I feel like most people know that.
Yeah,
like
like-
if you're not getting 7 hours of sleep, like you're not going to be
Yeah.
doing so hot.
Yeah.
And
And-
you know that by experiencing that. You don't think you need to stand efforting to do
no.
that.
And he says, blackout. It's important for it to be dark and it's important for it to
Yeah.
be cool. So
Which is
like,
just really sleep
yeah.
hygiene in general.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Cool,
that's
dark
pretty
room.
don't use your phone like while you're laying in bed. Like that's a really
Yeah.
hard one for I think a lot of
Oh,
people
anybody,
to.
yeah.
you
Like
know.
if possible, kick living things out of the bed.
Yeah.
The fewer living things you have moving and running around in your bed, the better you're off. Whether that's kids, pets,
Wives.
spouses,
A snake.
partners, snakes, anything. Just
bed bugs.
try to get those out of there. And
Don't leave
and
the TV on.
I
don't
think
even have a TV in your room.
yeah,
I guess.
and I think the one thing, and he says this in his video or in other videos, he says if you're waking up early after inadequate sleep to do cardio, you're stepping over $100 bills to pick up
Yeah,
nickels.
I've heard
And
him say that
He says
before.
that a lot, and that's totally true. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
if
like,
you're,
yo, maybe you should sleep another hour and a half instead
Yeah.
of
yeah,
wasting your time with the
Yep.
treadmill.
yeah, and so he does give a lot more, CPAP, things like that.
information.
So yeah, I don't think any of that is a major surprise to anyone, and it's one of
No.
those things that everyone knows they need to do. But when you're just scrolling Instagram, when you're just hundreds of scrolls deep in the Discover page, and your eyes are still going, sometimes it's hard for people
you
to do.
gotta feed the need, you know.
Salt is a really big part of what he talks about in this
yeah.
thing.
It's probably one of the bigger sections almost, I would think, is salt and sodium and
Yeah, and it's I don't know, probably Stan's view compared to probably like what you learned at the most basic level, like in high school and things like that. I just growing up, a lot of times it feels like you hear like salt is bad,
Yeah.
salt causes high blood pressure.
That's what
And
I always thought, and I always thought salt dehydrated you, but that's
So he has kind of a different, and I don't think it is the completely accepted view either scientifically, like across the whole spectrum. But he has a lot of studies that he references and believes that salt is one of the biggest contributors to your performance.
yeah, and your hydration.
Right.
Your hydration, all types of stuff, and I don't know if we need to go super in depth on that,
yeah.
but it is a major component to what he talks about is salting your food properly, even like getting salt into your hydration sources
Yeah.
if you're dehydrated and things like that.
Like before I even read this here, I started changing what I do just based. I heard enough of what he said and read some other things, and this is not a major change, and I can't say that I even know a difference, but I do salt my food now, which I never did before, and now I just moderately salt my food.
Yeah.
Like that's a pretty easy thing to do, and it tastes better. I think like
It does,
seasoned
I mean,
food.
salt is a flavor enhancer.
I think most people do like
You're
salt,
right.
so that's not.
And then I actually drink a little bit less water now than I do because so much of what he talks about is that
Overhydration. I mean, if you drink enough water, or if you're drinking a lot of water, overhydration, you are basically flushing minerals and things out of your body. And he does say in here that clear pee isn't necessarily good. Like clear pee probably isn't good. You're probably drinking too much water if that's the case.
And I was like drinking so much water that it would just be running. It would be clear running through
right
me.
through.
Yeah.
And that is actually kind of the next thing in the book. Then is he does talk about the water component to it, and there really is no magic number. It's not, you shouldn't be like drinking a gallon a day, and also, or you might be need to drink a gallon a day, but it depends so much on your activity level, your body weight,
the way you sweat, versus
the way you
someone
sweat.
else.
Yeah, so you can't really even prescribe like a rule
He said
to it.
8 glasses of water a day is bullshit.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know?
What does that come out to? Like a gallon or something?
That'd be half if you're talking an 8-ounce
yeah, that'd be
glass.
64.
That's,
Yeah,
half gallon.
Right, yeah.
And that's much less than what I drink in a day, even now that I'm doing less.
Yeah, and it's obviously with these things, it's going to be
Yeah.
way different for a 102-pound
Or a
girl
300
than a
pound.
300 plus or 400 plus
Yeah.
pound man. Like
Yes.
it's going to be so different.
Yeah.
He gets into like some other things like blood sugars and insulin,
Diabetics
and
and
diabetics.
Part of that I didn't look into
And
real closely because
I
I'm like,
didn't like
Because you
that was
ignore
not
your diabetes.
yeah, it's like Walter Brimley said that I can get free test strips or something like that.
Yeah, so I kind of skipped over that part a little bit too. That's probably the most important part of the book, and we missed something in there. But we'll just pretend that there was nothing there. Protein is a big one. I thought interesting thing about protein is he kind of goes with the standard. I feel like you hear
Pound
this.
per-
Yep, however many pounds you weigh.
gram
just-
per pound
Yep, a
of-
gram,
yeah.
gram per pound of body
Pound
weight.
per pound.
But he does talk about, like, some people I think have the mentality that you cannot get too much protein. And he does talk about how excessive protein, the sources that it's coming from, a lot of times can cause additional distress on your gut. And so a lot of times more protein than necessary is just putting more stress, more distress on your GI tract, things like that. So being aware of the amount of protein you're actually consuming.
More is not always better.
Yeah.
Same with salt. I guess that's the thing he says too. Salt is important, but it's not
You
more.
should just start
is,
dumping
yeah,
the shaker
Eating,
down
like,
your throat.
Just
eating a spoonful.
More is not always better.
Yep.
I'm sure you could say that about sleep also. And
Yeah,
Pretty much
to,
anything,
yeah,
yeah.
to an extent, pretty much anything.
Well, but I don't know. Is there such a thing as too much sleep?
I don't know. I
15
mean, maybe
hours
if you
a
do it
night.
so much that you just don't do anything else.
you are dead.
Yeah.
You're actually dead.
Fats, he goes into your oils.
Yeah, he's a big. Does not
Cook-
like
cooking
processed
oil,
vegetable
and,
oil.
and that's
Yeah.
really obvious from his
Yeah.
other videos. I mean, he has
Yeah,
tons of videos out there on that. Your fat sources, protein sources, carbs. We did touch on that one.
White
really,
rice.
really big on white rice. And again, if you've known anything about the vertical diet, before I even read this book, my knowledge of the vertical diet was red meat, white rice, and a few other things.
Yeah.
and that kind of
carrot.
is what it is. Like,
Carrot and some cranberry
not
juice.
not terrible like 5 words.
Yeah. That's
synopsis
That's what I
of it.
always, Yeah. That's
he
seriously what I
does.
thought,
He
too.
does though give several
Product links.
product links because if he is recommending stuff, he's kind of gone through the process a lot of times. He can recommend pressure cookers to you, rice cookers, thermoses, things like that. Like
he really
Costco,
likes to-
the
like
spot
the
to
little-
find deals.
The thermals that he takes on the airplane, like I think every time he posts that, he always links to
Yeah.
Amazon, whatever, where he gets them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's real easy to have even just a basic Amazon affiliate link. So, no secret that if you purchase something from his link, he's getting something.
Probably, yeah. He probably has some.
But why
affiliate thing
not?
there.
Like,
Yeah.
if that, like, he should be at that point in time. He's referring those sales.
Yep.
It's a lot about gut health. Like,
there
that's
is-
kind
there-
of like
there is a lot of gut health stuff in there.
That's like of the whole diet. That's an overarching part of it is everything set up to help your digestion and help your gut health.
Yeah, and really being able to kind of have the ability to step back and look at yourself and say, like, is this food working with me? Like, do I have constant gas? Like, do I have diarrhea?
You shouldn't be on the shitter.
If that's the
all
case,
it,
like,
yeah.
you're definitely eating something that's not working
for
with your
you.
system.
Yeah.
And the other one too, he says with that is just because you're eating it doesn't mean that your body's like really absorbing it, because there's some things that your body just, everyone's body's different and it will take things differently. So because someone says they eat this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So you need to be able to look at that and then know if there is something that's not working, what to substitute it out with to get that same value.
Yep.
So from what you guys have read, like the whole gut health thing, does he just say eating the foods that are in the vertical diet will take care of that, or is there specific?
No,
things
he
that
doesn't.
need to be
He
decided?
doesn't
in
even
there.
make that claim.
Okay.
But he says this is what's worked for me, and he's got kind of at the very least anecdotal evidence of these foods that
Says
they're the most
could
likely
cause.
to. Yeah,
I see
yeah.
those
But
there,
like,
yeah.
but like milk, too much milk for
that
people.
which I think most people that would agree
Yep.
with.
Yeah, like too many eggs, too many nuts, almost too much of anything can.
He's not a
Mostly
big
fatty things. It looks like might
well,
do
and
it.
he's not a big fan of regular wheat bread or brown rice or even oatmeal.
Okay.
But then he says small moderation of almost any of that stuff probably isn't going to
Yep.
be terrible for you. But oatmeal is one that I thought is interesting because that's like a bodybuilding diet staple, or
Definitely. Eggs too, and
yeah,
milk. Yeah,
yeah.
I think
But he doesn't say not to eat those
too
things.
much.
Yeah,
What's
right,
too
right.
much for you could be different for
Right.
Yeah.
too
And
much for
and
me.
and milk is, those are items that can have individual allergy issues with a lot
Right.
of people in their body. Milk and eggs and peanuts. Like some people just can't process that stuff.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like you handled milk and that stuff pretty good?
I think so. I don't. There was a while there where I was drinking a lot of milk, and even now, like I went through a phase where I was still drinking probably 3 to 4 gallons of milk a week, and like the thing that started this summer, I was just like, I don't even want to drink that much. So now I think I'm about to like 2 gallons of milk a week, which I feel like. Yeah, just going to the bathroom and everything is a little better. So I do agree with that. That does make sense.
I noticed changing, like I'll go through swings with like just to do something different where I'll almost eliminate milk entirely. And when I put it back in, I do notice I feel like my milk consumption and gas production are pretty closely related.
A farting factory, you can just run off of milk. But I don't know. I've never noticed that with eggs. I don't eat a ton of eggs. Like I maybe eat 3 eggs for breakfast.
And as far as he goes in here, I mean, 3 eggs, he kind of almost considers part of the normal diet.
Right,
Like,
right.
I think
3 or
4
4
is kind of the
yeah,
magic number.
right.
Vegetables, he gives you some recommendations.
He doesn't
on
really like
vegetables.
like broccoli.
Isn't that what
He
those are?
almost-
Broccoli
he
and
almost-
asparagus.
He almost like stays away from vegetables. Like for how many options there are for vegetables out there, he really only recommends a couple.
Cooked spinach and peppers are like
Carrots.
and carrots. Carrots are a part of the
Yeah,
floor,
like that kind of are his. Those kind of are his vegetable recommendations right there.
which I'm down with that. Like,
Yeah, I don't.
and
Yeah.
like spinach isn't that like cooked spinach
easy
and
to
something is
eat.
pretty easy to eat, and
Yeah.
that's his thing. Like it's easy to eat, it's easy to digest.
Definitely.
And he doesn't count like those vegetables that you eat don't even count like in your carb count or
Oh,
anything
they're
like
like-
that. It's it's
Yeah, I'm sure just more vitamins. and-
yeah.
He does include a link to top 10 vegetables that cause gas. Though.
Beans.
Beans is number
The
one.
magical-
Believe it or not,
God.
beans
I,
are number
I always
one.
thought they were the magical fruit though.
Oh, that is true. They are lying.
Yeah.
They're so magical that
They're also a
it
vegetable.
transcends the
Yeah.
vegetable line
Yeah.
into fruit.
What's next on there?
Peas.
Don't
I wouldn't have
eat
guessed
those.
that peas.
Broccoli.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Probably asparagus. Okay, cabbage. Yes.
Cauliflower, that's basically white,
White
broccoli.
broccoli.
Brussels
Yeah.
sprouts. Does anyone actually just sit down with a bowl of Brussels sprouts and just go to town?
just-
I hope not.
Like Michael Scott.
man.
Get my box wine and my bag of frozen vegetables.
Or what's his name has mung beans sprouting in his
Creed.
Creed.
Yeah. Mung beans. They smell really bad. Onions. That makes sense because onions already smell bad. So
Yeah.
of course they're gonna.
Yeah. Mushrooms and artichokes.
Yeah. Artichokes, rarely eaten food for most people. Spinach artichoke dip, I guess. Is probably the-
That's like one of the only, literally
if
only
they
things
if
I've
they
ever had.
if they
artichokes in.
outlawed spinach artichoke dip, would artichokes
Artichoke-
almost go extinct?
Yeah.
There'd be some poor artichoke farmers.
Yeah, like, damn it, that was our one market.
Like, how do we sell these?
They've put us out of business.
Yeah. Bread, the one bread he does say that is, if you're going to eat bread, is sourdough because it's something about that is good. I can't remember.
Because it's sour.
Do you guys have a sourdough bread preference?
I don't really mess with the sourdough bread.
I don't know when I've had sourdough bread, really.
I feel like at a restaurant when they say this sandwich is on sourdough, that's probably the only time you're. Like, is sourdough like mass produced, or is it just one of those things you just get like from the bakery section at a grocery store?
I don't know if it's bagged. If you just
like
next to the Wonder Bread.
Or, yeah. I don't think so either. It looks too elaborate to be pumped out that fast.
Is this the Panera Bread Factory over here?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on
next?
to the meats.
Red meat. Is it good? Is it safe? And pretty much yes, is what he says.
He says eat it all.
It's more nutrient dense than chicken. And have you ever seen a big chicken before?
There's some crazy Instagram videos out there. I have seen a couple big chickens.
So what do you think of that?
Yeah. What do you think of that Stan? He's the one. But part of that is chickens have a really short life, and they're mostly fed soy. So
he's very against soy. I noticed that. Because he doesn't eat turkey.
Right, and turkey's the same way,
right,
because they're mostly fed soy and they have a short life. So like that meat, their muscle.
He does give a preference to like if you can find like grass-fed free-range chickens.
Yeah.
But he said also like free-range chickens a lot of times aren't like they're probably not grass-fed. They're not grass-fed, but whatever the hell chickens
cage-free.
Cage-free. Yeah, and I don't know what.
He talks about it. That's where you'd want to buy the book.
I'm not a chicken expert by any means. I don't really.
But
there you go. Buy the book.
Why I likes bison though, because bison is grass fed.
Yeah, there's no way around that.
Right.
As far as I know.
So eat red meat and a lot of it. It's a big staple of the diet, obviously.
That is.
Everyone knows that probably. Caffeine. He says if you're getting enough sleep and doing all the other things correctly, you probably don't need caffeine for your pre-workout.
Yeah.
Which, hey, people have lives and stuff comes up, so I would say most people would probably say, hey, I do need it.
I'm going to use that sometimes.
I still, and I don't know, I think we're kind of all on the same page here where if you need a pre-workout every single day in the gym, like,
you don't, that's not good.
Yeah, you're getting, I don't know.
And I got to the point now where I actually never really have a full scoop of pre-workout. Like my thing is like, I'll be like, okay, today I'm not going to have any. And then the next day it's maybe I'm just going to have like a quarter of a scoop. Or then when I really feel like I want it, I'll have a half of a serving.
Well, and I feel like with most things like that, if you keep doing it, like you're going to build up some kind of tolerance to it. And then it's like, well, what's the point?
But like if you're just going in for like a regular just day, you're just putting in work, like you're not setting PRs and going crazy every day. Like, do you need to be amped out of your mind, like with caffeine?
Yeah, there's no
so
point. It's just always just I would say that's something that you need to use when you need it.
Yeah, pick and choose.
Not feel like you always need it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with using it, but just be careful that you're not like it's not like a crutch to something you have to have.
Right, and I think it's different for somebody to be like, oh, I need to drink a 24-ounce Zero Ultra Monster, whatever it is. Or I like to drink a cup of coffee. Like, that is way different. Right. So, I mean,
just be careful with it.
Hey, just watch what you're doing.
It's incredibly addicting. You could start as crushing caffeine addiction. Next thing you know, you're on the streets.
Safety first.
Is over.
Yep. So be warned.
10-minute walks.
10-minute walks. He's talked about that a ton.
Yeah.
I think most people know.
Yeah.
That's just like a thing after.
That is something that I really have implemented into my life because I do work from home. So if I don't get up during the day and do 10-minute walks, I could literally be.
Not
the only time I would walk would be to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So that is something I have.
A head in a jar at that point.
Almost. My body is of no purpose to me.
Yeah.
So
but that's like a thing after meals, right?
Yeah, I have implemented those. I think the big one he talks about, I believe he's talked about, is how it just kind of helps with like just that bloating and digestion. And if you are somewhat full and you go for a brisk 10-minute walk, it does just kind of feel like it gets things moving, like you're not so full feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Calories, he talks about calories and kind of like macros and all that. And
so he's somebody that's big into actually recording or like keeping track of, okay, I need to eat this much, so I'm going to eat this much. Mm-hmm. Like that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah, depending on your goal of whether you're trying to cut weight.
Yeah, depending on what you're trying to do, whether it's just being aware of what you're eating. Right. And I mean, calories are kind of the.
Well, and he even says the calories are still king.
Yeah.
Calories in versus calories out is
what's going to decide.
It's like 75% of the equation.
Yep.
And he even says that the rest of it, even macro distribution or micronutrients and all that.
Macro, micro, and like timing, like those, it just gets less and less and less important.
And he even says just by calories, you can get a long ways in your goals. Brian
Yep.
Shaw basically got to his first World's Strongest Man with only being worried
just
about
pumping
calories.
in, yeah.
Right.
And then once the calories are there, then you can kind of start to like optimize this
Yeah.
stuff and be smarter about it. But Stan also, with his history of
Hormones,
powerlifting and bodybuilding, has a lot of experience with hormones and all of that stuff. And it's no secret there either. He talks a lot about blood tests. I mean, even to the point of he has like a referral link for blood tests that he can send you to do. And I've never done anything like that. It'd probably be cool just to
It would
see
be
like
interesting, yeah.
on a day where you feel like you're just like a normal,
Yeah.
your normal self, like what actually are your like levels on some of these things that he thinks are important to measure. But I have not gone that far to do that yet.
Neither have I.
His
Supplements.
His stance on
shakes
supplements.
or something steaks and shakes, or is at the top. I think it's at the top of.
shakes are for fakes.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I don't know if you spent much time on Instagram lately, but there is a lot of people that make their living off of shakes. Did you know that? Did you guys know that?
I have seen something about
Making
that before.
shakes.
Yeah.
Do you think
Shake
they would
Shack.
agree with this?
No.
Oh,
They would have
that's
they would have a
pretty-
word for Mr. Efforting here.
Yeah.
But
That was-
he does have a point,
He's not much of a pills and potions kind of guy, though. And he's
Yeah.
pretty upfront about that.
and
I'm pretty cool with that.
Yeah.
and
Uh,
if you're listening to this podcast, you probably get it. Like you're probably not like
not that
dropping
gullible.
like mixing up 6 different shakes over the course of a day to do all types of random stuff. You get it. It's just for the most part probably a way for you to get a little more protein in your diet in a hurry, and you're going to be getting your main calories and nutrients from actual food, which
Right.
is
Yeah, I think
the
it's-
better source anyways.
I have protein powder at home all the time, but it's not a staple of mine.
You don't plan your meals around that.
No, it's like, I gotta make sure to get this next protein shake in.
Got a big workout tomorrow.
Wow,
Better
he's
put
probably-
2
what
scoops
do you
into
think
this
is in
one.
There, he's lying. I bet there's
Yeah, how many scoops of protein are in that Flex Flask you have?
Ooh, this is just straight beef tallow.
Well,
I
no
love
chicken
it.
stock in there?
I watered it down with some chicken stock. I love it. I'm gonna drink it until I love it.
He does offer also some advice along the lines of things like your immune system
He says he hasn't been sick in like 3 years.
Hey,
due to all the suppositories he takes.
what is sick, anyways?
Yeah, that's true. That's what I always say.
What else do we? We're starting to kind of get down
Yeah.
there. He goes more in depth in like some of the actual food for why he prefers bison or why he prefers like actual, specific foods.
Yep.
His opinion on chicken and turkey and grass fed versus grain fed.
Yep. He goes into detail on each of the say 12 specific foods that cranberry juice is another big one. That
He does.
goes
Yeah,
into.
does talk about cranberry juice a lot,
Yeah.
and even some orange juice too. He does
Yep.
recommend getting into the diet. He does actually give you, once you get a little farther into the book. Well, we're still on the vegetables part here, but he does give you some
Sample
diets, which
I
I
thought
think
those
is
were
that's
probably one of the
important, 'cause,
more
like,
valuable
Okay,
spots.
I have all these foods. What do I do with them?
Yeah.
Am I
Yes.
just gonna make these just the way they are? Like,
Do I put them all in a blender, Blaine
Right.
Sumner style, and just
just
chug them?
get to
How do I
drinking?
consume these things?
Yeah.
And he does weight loss, lean gains, body recomposition, and then mass gaining. And he
Yep.
kind of gives you a daily plan. And obviously that's going to depend on how much you weigh now and how what your lifting is and your other physical activity. But it's at least a start.
And that probably is the part of the book that most people would be like, just let me know that
Yeah,
part.
like, let
But
me scroll to
it
that.
is at the end of the book basically,
what do
but
I do?
it does make sense the way he lays it out, that he informs you for why he makes all these decisions, and then
Right.
at the end, now that you have this knowledge or kind of the base for the knowledge, then he kind of gives you the building blocks to go and do this stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, he does. Depending on your goals, he has a few different ideas to kind of get you going. And I mean, the vertical diet is somewhat repetitive. You're not going to be like,
I would say it's very repetitive.
There's a
That's the
limited
point.
selection.
yeah. But yeah, that is kind of ties right back into the gut health thing of that. If you're always just throwing these curveballs to your system,
Then you don't even know what's
yeah,
actually.
you don't know what's making you perform better. You don't know what's making you feel like shit. What's making you feel good. So once you kind of like pare the whole thing back and get down to the essentials, you can sort of build off of that. Which is also kind of where the horizontal vertical thing comes
Right.
into play. He gives you some kind of example recipes too for, his signature monster mash and cornucopia, whatever he's got going on here.
He also goes into he gives like some training.
Yeah, there is some training. I was
almost,
kind of surprised. I thought that probably wasn't needed
like,
at all.
I feel like that's not needed because I feel like if you're reading this,
You probably have that part figured out.
I would think.
I
Or at
actually-
least a better idea than, I got my workout. I got my program from the Vertical Diet ebook. I don't think anybody would really say that.
I didn't.
And I mean,
think so
I don't
either,
think
but-
it's necessarily bad advice.
No,
but there is no shortage of
And
like programs
no.
out there.
Some things are less obvious to people than others. So yeah, why not throw it in there? I guess.
I
but-
thought it was interesting that those were in there. And
I don't know if that was.
I
Just
did not look at
a way
those.
to maybe get the book to 50 pages.
Yeah.
Like,
True. Add some more.
I think it was
content.
filler.
we'll
a
get
little
the
bit.
people so they're only paying like $2 a page.
Yeah, gosh, yeah. Well, when you say it like that,
Yeah. Not that it's probably bad information that's in there, but I just don't think this is where people are coming for that. But
there's other resources out there.
But he does end it with some good advice, and that is the compliance factor. And with anything,
the best diet is one that you can stick to.
And yeah, that is same thing with the workout program. The best workout program is the one you can stick to. You know,
And that you like to do.
it could literally be the best one in the world, but if you don't do it, it's of no value.
Yep.
So with all these things, it's finding how you can make them work in your life and keep yourself accountable and have some compliance with the whole thing.
Yeah. So what's your star rate? What's your general thoughts or a rating of some sort of the ebook?
How many Massenomic M's am I going to
Yeah.
give this thing?
out of how many possible?
So we'll go on a 5,
Okay.
a 5-star scale here. I think I don't read a lot. I think you could probably give a better insight because you've read way more like ebooks in this realm than I have. You kind of know
Yeah.
what to expect a little more, but this wasn't like anything. I wasn't like super like I need to get on a diet.
Yeah.
I need to do this stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm probably like a 3.5 ish,
Yeah.
4 at the high end.
Yeah.
But I do think if you are looking for a diet, looking for some nutritional advice, this could be a 5-star, review for you. It could be really, really
it
good.
seems very simple, which I think is probably the best
Could
part.
be really good for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
That's kind of my opinion. I personally give it like a 3. There's some things there's certain sections that I really enjoyed in there, and like I felt like I understand better now, and there's things I can take away from it. But for the right person, I think it's a 5. But we're also at the point we have some idea of we might not be on the vertical diet, but a lot of
Right.
these things are just like
It's
Little
just
things
time-
that you figure
pieces
out.
or things
Yeah.
like
Time-tested principles.
I kind
Right.
of do that already. Like,
Right. A lot of those things, someone that's been lifting and has some idea about nutrition, they say, "Oh yeah, that's what I do."
Right.
Yeah,
It-
and
like-
he has taken the time to assemble some links and
Right.
videos and things for you that if you do find, if there's a section that is of particular interest to you, there are a lot more resources where you can dive in and do your own independent research and find out some more and really, I guess, geek out on it as much as you want to. So, vertical diet, is this one in the books?
So, I did
the
make
ebooks.
I did make monster mash today.
Oh,
then.
did you?
So that's I bought
White rice.
bone broth, white rice. We have a Instapot pressure cooker.
Yep.
What
And
do
I
you? Okay, go ahead. I'll ask you afterwards.
And I bought ground sirloin.
Uh-huh.
So it was like 93.7.
Yep.
And I made I bought 4 pounds.
It's
of
just,
that.
is any 93.7 considered ground sirloin, basically?
I bought I didn't buy the package stuff. Like I bought
Uh-huh.
it at the meat counter where it's
Oh,
literally like
actually, like laying there.
They say how
weigh
much
it
do you
out
want.
and- yeah, okay.
So it was top sirloin or
Gotcha.
not. No, it's not top sirloin. It's sirloin,
Sirloin.
ends or sirloin tips
Yep.
is what
Right.
they make it out of. Because I looked at the bison at this particular grocery store. You know how much the
$6.
bison
Okay,
was
this
a pound?
It's like
This, what,
probably about
$9?
8 or 9 a pound.
It was like $13
Oh, no
a
way.
pound, but
You know
at
what is the-
other places you can get it for like 8
the
or
most
9.
frustrating
think
part of
maybe at
that,
Walmart.
we literally live in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Like,
Don't
the
they
Dakotas
have
are
those
known.
things here.
The Dakotas are known
Yeah.
for bison and
Yeah,
buffalo,
yeah.
and it's more expensive than seafood, which
Yeah.
seafood
We don't
does
have
not
a sea
exist here.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
not close, but I don't know.
The sirloin, ground sirloin was about $5 a pound, and that's I can justify that. It is
I mean,
cheaper
you
than
only eat
eating
5 pounds a day, right?
Right, 5 to 12 or so whatever. Depends on how vertical
we
I
gotta
go.
go pound for pound on that protein.
But then
So it is.
I pattied the sirloin and grilled that up and made several cups of rice, and then I had the bone broth and I mashed them up together and I put them in bag.
Do you consider it a palatable? Like, is it actually something you?
Yeah,
don't
and then I
mind
ate
eating?
one right away, and I've eaten beef and
Yeah,
this
that's
is
not-
just like the thing, like what we're saying. Like I've eaten beef and rice many times.
Who
but-
who has not
Right.
sat down and ate beef and rice?
Right.
Wait, I've done this before.
The one thing that I don't think a lot of people put like chicken stock in the mix.
And I did that.
And I think
I
that
thought that was good.
Adds
Like,
to because that
Some
is on its
moisture.
own kind of dry. Like
Yeah.
just cooked hamburger and
That-
cooked
It's not like you.
rice isn't like the most. There's not a lot of
Right.
liquid getting added into the
it
equation.
sounds a
So
little dry.
because of reading his thing, I added the bone broth. I added more salt, and that was all good. And I'm not on the vertical diet, but those are good meals for me to. That's right
Yeah,
in
that's
line with
good
what I try to
anyways,
do,
yeah,
anyways.
right.
But I am also now. I always like carrots, but I'm just going to eat carrots twice a day. So a handful of baby carrots twice a day. But I already like those anyways and ate them sometimes. But I'm just going to make more of an effort to do that.
conscious of it, yeah.
And then oranges I eat every week anyways, but I'm just going to eat some
them
every
more,
day.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you have an instant pot.
Yes.
Instapot or instant pot?
I think it's Instapot.
What do you just usually make rice with that? Or
Usually my wife uses it. She had to show me how to use it today, actually. Even
so
so.
you're not the person.
No.
this is the on button,
Yeah,
Tanner.
and there is even a button for rice.
Oh.
So,
So how long does it take in there?
it takes 12 minutes.
Is that like multiple cups?
Yeah, I made like four
Okay.
cups.
Okay.
4 dry
Dry.
cups. So then when
Not
it comes out,
prepared,
it's
so
right.
probably like
And
double
does it
that.
does it
Yeah.
come out pretty good?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's white.
Only,
It
only
is-
half of it is stuck to the bottom and sides.
Well, I have a rice cooker, and that's the thing about a rice cooker is you never have to deal with the it's
Yeah.
dry on the bottom.
Yeah.
This pot's gonna be.
How long does your rice cooker take?
I'd say maybe 15 minutes.
Okay, so it's
probably
the same
pretty
thing, yeah.
yeah.
I assume it's but there's just got a bunch of buttons on the front and it's just white rice
Yeah.
and then you lock it and it goes off when it's done.
Yeah, those things seem really handy though for other foods as well. But
Yeah. So I do have some Monster Mash and it was good. Just
you
like
listen
if you've
to-
had beef and rice before, you've had Monster Mash.
did you listen to the Halloween classic Monster Mash while you were eating it?
It was a Monster Mash.
It's part of the vertical.
It's
diet.
almost that
You have-
season already.
You have to. Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true. That's crazy.
Do we have
Yeah, we've got our thing.
our thing?
Yep. So what we've got is the Open Powerlifting Stat of the Week by Massenomics.
Woo!
This week's
yeah.
stat is the number of men with X or more totals. So I'm going to go over numbers,
Oh.
say 1,000 or more,
Okay.
etc.
So obviously weight is not a factor here.
Correct. It's all men in raw or raw with wraps. So 1,000 plus is 57% of the people, 1,000 plus totals. 1,500 plus, 10.2% of the people.
okay.
1,700 plus, 3.2%.
Wow.
1,900 plus, 0.8%. 2,000 plus, 0.4%. 2,200, 0.07%. 2,300 is 24 people. 2,400 is 9 people. 2,500 plus is 1 person.
And that
that-
is.
Milanichev?
Milanichev is the only one to go over.
Wow.
So that's the open powerlifting stat of the week on the
How-
Massenomics podcast.
How many people is that out of though?
That's out of 114,729 male lifters in the database.
Okay.
All men in the database.
So right around
So
100,000.
what? Only 100. How do they? Oh, I suppose when they. Yeah.
What was the 10% are?
So
1,500.
So my first number is 1,000 plus people that have totaled 1,000 pounds or more, and that's 66,000 people, or about 58%.
Okay.
Yep.
So what do you think of that? That
think
just
that's-
Actually,
just half of the
I
people,
thought
half
that would
of the
be
men
more.
Have, yeah.
I to me that number seemed like.
It's pretty.
I'm not
entry-level.
knocking on not having like
Yeah.
1,000-pound total, but just in my mind, it
Yeah.
seems like most people at a meet like total over 1,000
Yeah,
pounds.
but you could if there's quite a few beginners doing it, it wouldn't. If you're a lighter weight beginner, it wouldn't be crazy to squat 300, bench 200, and
Deadlift
deadlift
around.
300.
No,
you know,
yeah,
like,
and it's not crazy at all. But
Yeah.
that's
It's
not
still percentages.
I
it
would
seems
like
there'd
out of
be
all the
more.
meets I've been
Yeah.
to, that's not half of the people
Yeah.
there. So that one is a little surprising to me.
Yeah. And then the next one, so it skips a few there, and we go to 1,500 plus, and that's about 12,000, which is just 10% of the people have
Yep.
done over 1,500.
And to me, if you're hitting a 1,500 total,
Yeah.
I'm not
pretty
there yet.
s-
But if you're hitting a
yeah.
1,500 pound total, in almost any respect, you're considered very strong.
Yeah, no, I mean
You have
that's
to,
a
you have
one
to
in
be pretty well rounded.
You can go most places and you'll probably be the strongest person there.
yeah that 1 in 10. I'm surprised. I would have guessed
Well,
it
that's-
was even
because that's
yeah,
gonna say that would put you at what, like a, maybe a mid-6 deadlift,
probably
somewhere in the fives
yeah.
for a squat, and then
Or you just bench, squat, and deadlift 500.
yeah, everything is the same, like most lifters.
Yeah.
Do. That's what Kirill Sarachev does.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he can do it,
And then I did skip a couple levels, but now going into more detail, 1600 plus is just 6%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting closer to 1 in 20.
Yep.
Then 1700 plus is 3%.
Which is to me, actually surprising how low that's getting already.
Yeah, really low, really quick. So it's 3,600 people at 1700 plus. 1800 plus is just under 2,000 men, and it's under 2%. And that's getting to be a big total.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you're just by the number 1800 plus, you're pretty much eliminating even the chances of the bottom half of the weight classes.
Yeah.
That's
With the exception of a few of the
Right.
absolute most top level people.
right. 1900 plus is under 1,000 people, under 1,000 men, 922, and that's less than 1%. Then 2,000, which that's a big mark, obviously. Only 432 men. 2,000 plus.
Yeah.
That's
so if you're
pretty
doing
small.
That,
Yeah.
you are on another level.
It seems like you see it more often because of Instagram.
Well,
I
that's the
know
thing,
we've said
too,
that
like, wow,
before.
That guy can do it, and that guy can do it. So
Yeah.
well,
But they're all on Instagram.
Right,
Yeah.
right. All 432 of them are just about. 2,100 plus is only 159. 2,200 plus is 77. Then we get 24 over 2,300, 9 over 2,400, and I could name a good majority of those. I think it would be Andre, Dan Bell, Ray Williams, Eric Lillibridge.
Yep.
Who else is? There's Ray and then Petrov.
The Petrov.
And probably maybe
Zahir.
Zahir.
right.
Yeah.
What do we got? 7 of them?
Yeah.
How many did we say there are?
Dan, do you say
9.
Dan Green?
9. No,
He's
not
not
he's
2,400,
Dan
no.
Bell
Yeah,
is,
Dan
and
Bell.
I don't think JP Price is quite to
Larry Wills
2,400.
isn't there either.
No, but yeah, that's
I mean,
the
we
majority of them.
just off the top of our head got
Yeah.
pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
And then it still is. I mean, 2,500. It is crazy. That is an insane number, but one person only.
Yeah, because those next 4 guys are all tied at that
Yeah.
24:58.
Ray is only a good day away from hitting it though.
Yeah, same with Dan Bell
Yeah,
and
all those
Eric
guys, yeah,
Lillibridge.
it's-
Like that is what they're away from. Is just a really good.
Yep. And that's what
week.
it's just like. I mean, a lot of these guys, they're probably like one red light away from having that total
Yeah,
already.
right.
They probably have done it in a meet already. It just something in there got red lighted or
Yeah.
a deadlift slipped out at the very top.
Yep. Big Dog's coming up here in October.
Brandon
It's a good
Allen, does he have
opportunity.
2,400?
He's got to be close. I think he's just under. It's like
Just under. Okay.
well,
I
yeah,
mean-
I think he's like 23:58.
If only we had the internet here, right? Here, I'll get you right now.
I've got that one right here. It's 23:86 is his best.
Okay.
Very close.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's pushing it. But it really starts to drop off quick once you go over 1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah. Separates the men from the other men.
And
right.
those statistics are provided by Open Powerlifting. Obviously, we do the weekly stat of the week, and do you guys both have your Instagram handles on there
Yeah.
tagged? I know you
Right.
do
Yeah.
because
You
I made
did
sure.
it?
Yeah, I
Or
made sure
whatever,
that
yeah.
everyone had it on there.
Yeah, go on there. Check out your meet results online. If anything's missing, send them a message and they will get those
Get it
updated for
fixed.
sure. Also, if your Instagram account is not linked, you should probably
Do it.
probably send them a message, get that thing linked too. They'll be happy to do that. And if you are a big fan of what they're doing and want to contribute or support, you can either get in touch with them and you can figure out how to whatever your talent might be, whether that's entering a meet or helping out with some other side of it. They're always looking for help, or you can support them financially through Patreon. Different monthly membership levels where you can do some things like color your name or format a little differently, and they also do have some shirts that you can buy too. So
Yeah. Some pretty cool looking shirts.
yeah.
So thank you, Open Powerlifting. Thanks again. We'll get another good one from you next week, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
They haven't let us down yet.
Nope, not yet.
Maybe even keep raising the bar on us.
If it's possible.
Like they should have a stat like most people to puke in one meal.
It's have you seen this South Park episode where James Cameron literally raises the bar like it's an actual
I have
like
not.
it's an actual
Is it
bar?
the,
He has
is it
to-
the one
he
with
goes in the submarine.
Dances with. Is it the one where they make fun of like Avatar and Dances with Wolves?
It's like
'Cause that-
it's Honey Boo Boo, is what the main thing is.
I haven't seen that one. I feel like
Yeah.
because that's like James Cameron
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
but
Yeah, Avatar.
Smurfs. Aren't they like all Smurfs or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Well, they're blue people. Did we have anything else good on our docket today that we're gonna?
That's probably about it. I
Yeah.
did see a couple weeks ago, we talked about some of the things we'd been following media-wise with shows.
Yep.
We did have a few people offer up some suggestions on YouTube.
Yeah, did you
which
see those?
I did see those. Yeah, it's always nice to know that people are watching out for us. Have our watching interests in mind.
Yeah. Do you remember what any of the suggestions
They were on
were?
Hulu, and I don't have Hulu, so I'd never
what
heard of
is
the
it?
shows.
I'll tell you.
One was like a number, like a date, like 19
Yeah.
something, which also is a really tough name for a show
Well,
because
that's really vague. Like, that's a number.
that literally is.
Castle Rock.
I have
I
seen
saw-
ads
and
for
what-
that
And
one.
what's that?
I watched. It's set in this Stephen King like universe. So it's in Castle Rock, and it's a lot of the plot. At least in the first episode, the one that I saw is at Shawshank. So and then there's characters that are, like related to some of the characters on the show, and
Okay.
there's just
And
or characters in his books. I mean, so
Okay.
it's just a original series set in like the Stephen King world.
Okay.
So it's pretty. I thought it was cool.
And then 11/22/63.
That was the
Ever heard of that? Is that
No.
a typo or is that a show on?
I'm assuming it's a show.
Okay. And then Altered Carbon on Netflix. Have you guys watched that?
I remember seeing the title, but no.
No,
I
and I
not.
haven't. I don't even know if I've seen that one pop up.
His-
11/22/63 is also Stephen King based.
Oh,
So
it's a
I would
Stephen
assume
Is
it's
King
that
live
the
fan.
video.
JFK one?
Yeah, time traveler who attempts to prevent the assassination of President John F.
Yeah,
Kennedy.
It's like a guy. That book came out, I think, about 7 years ago, and it's a guy. He works at a fast food place, and he finds this like portal to the past, which is that date, and he realizes he can go back and forth as many times as he wants.
So it does sound interesting.
I think it does. Yeah, the book sounds really good. So if
I
it's
might
a
have
show,
to
just watch the show.
Once I get some HBO shows knocked out here because I'm on my HBO subscription right now. I might have to jump to Hulu for the first time
Hulu's
ever.
really good.
Hulu is good.
There's just so many different network, under that are
Yeah.
on there. Like, you have all the Comedy Central shows. You have all the shows on like Viceland, and there's just a lot of different stuff. Their original series are good too. So yeah, Hulu's good.
Do we have any reviews this week, Tanner?
Nothing to report on
Nothing
the
to
review
report.
front right
Okay,
now. The number went up, but no reviews to be read. So
Well, you know what they say. Only you can add to our review count.
that's
As
true.
the saying goes.
You can't just be waiting for someone else to do it.
Nobody will
you have
review
to,
it for you.
Yeah, you have to. I went and reviewed a podcast this week, and I know why you're not doing it because it still
not
is.
fun or
No,
easy.
it is. I had to Google I was like, how do you review a podcast again? And
Yep.
but
Welcome to the world of podcasts.
yes, they don't want you to get reviews, I guess. So for the people that have reviewed, I know the work that you
We
guys
know
put
the
in.
war
Yeah.
that you've been
So
through.
we do really appreciate it. But otherwise, no reviews. But do give us a review, please. Also, go to our website. What do we got apparel-wise? We still have a few of the Strongman Showdown shirts left in just a couple sizes, so
Deeply discounted.
deeply discounted now, actually.
You could buy like a 5-pack and that could just be your training shirt, like going forward.
That's true. I think right now you can get them for about $12, so
That's really cheap.
it's a pretty cool shirt. It's got Massenomics logo on one sleeve, American flag on the other. It's for $12. It's a really good
And
bargain.
shipping
to
is one
like.
flat fee, so you're paying the same price whether you buy 1 or 100 of them. If
Yep.
you want to buy
That's-
100, that would be really cool.
It would save you money. In the
We're
long
gonna
run.
have to figure out how to ship that. but-
we would probably like.
We're gonna need a bigger box.
You would definitely implement some problems into Tanner's world if you
Yeah.
did purchase 100. But
So let's do that. Let's see how hard we can make
that'd
this.
be a problem worth figure.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to tackle that one though. There's some reward in it for us. The Huge Life shirt, there's a few of those left too, and we've talked about it before that's not coming back at
That'll
least in the
go
immediate
away.
future.
Yeah.
So snag one of those.
You can.
The Flex Flask we have in all 3 styles in black. Not this pretty white one that you see, but if you want it in black, we've got all those available.
Weekend Warriors back and
yes.
fully stocked.
More stocked than it's ever been before, even at this point.
An abundance of stock.
Yeah, and they look good. They look really good. I've got just shelves of them at home right now. So
Coming out my ears.
yeah, you order one, and I'll gladly put it in the mail to you. So buy any of that stuff, all of our stuff, our hats, and everything else that we got too. When you're on our website, you can sign up for the newsletter. Are we going to send out some newsletters here?
We are going to send out some newsletters.
Maybe there'll be a special deal in there one of those days that you might want to snatch up. So it's good incentive to sign
I'll
up.
tell
for
you
those
this: there'll be
newsletters.
something special in there.
Yeah. So no matter what, you're going to want to.
If that doesn't have you interested right now, I don't know what will get you interested.
That's true. YouTube channel, subscribe to us on YouTube. We put all the podcasts out in video. You can go check out our Strongman Showdown that we talk quite a bit on here. That full video is out on YouTube, so check that out. It's about a 30-minute long video, and you can see the whole competition and see what we've been talking about all these days about the Strongman Showdown. Other than that, I think we got our Instagram handles and our MySpace handles.
Yeah.
Tommy?
Oh, and also, tell someone about the podcast. I know there
A
are
little word of mouth.
I would-
Just a
never
word
heard
of
about it.
mouth.
I would
tell,
say
yes.
I know for a fact we do have a pretty concentrated loyal following. And you people out there that are listening, you know who you are. You guys are awesome. But tell a friend about it. Doesn't have to be your little secret. You can tell a friend about us.
That's true.
Be
That's
loud
fine
and
with us.
proud about it.
Grow the fam.
Yeah.
Grow the squad.
The Massenomics fam. Do we say that at Massenomics? Do we call things fam?
There
Fam
could be
squad.
someday.
Or Bay.
Someday we could have all of those things
If we're lucky.
if we're lucky. But yeah, Instagram. You can follow me at Tomahawk_D. Ryan.
Follow me at FlyingRyan_D.
And check out the Massenomics Instagram account at Massenomics.
_D.
Massenomics_D. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time for another one.
See ya.
Peace.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears. You're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.